so much for taking the time to speak to today. What time is it in Montreal?
It's 11 a.m. now.
Okay, reasonable hour.
Yeah, reasonable.
But no, I kind of wanted to ask, because you have been on tour recently, right?
Yes.
How's it been?
It's been really wonderful. I mean, it's really amazing to be back on the road with the new album. And yeah, it's been really just wonderful stages that I was playing also recently. So yeah, very grateful.
Because you played Cairo, right? Where
Yeah.
you were born.
Yeah, I played Cairo and then Beirut. And then went to Italy and Austria for Krems Donau Festival. And now I'm going to Lyon for Nuit Sonore. And will be making my way to Spain, to Barcelona.
Well, that's where I'm going to see you. I'm very excited about that.
Yes.
I was wondering, what's it like when you play in Cairo? Are you sort of like a, homecoming of a star, that kind of thing?
Well, I mean, it's obviously like it's my favorite thing because I mean, I was born and I grew up there. I left just 4 years ago, and I didn't really leave. But in Cairo, I mean, I'm part of like an underground experimental scene, and when I started, it was small, but it's just like keeps growing. And I think also the line between what's underground and what's not underground just like keeps dissolving bit by bit.
I've never been to Cairo. I'd love to, but I've never been. What's it like? What's the sort of music scene like there?
I mean, Egypt is like one of the main places in the Arab world that is just like continuously giving in music and in cinema and in art. So it's a huge industry, and it is a huge industry like in the pop world, in the whole Arab world. And the kind of like underground scene is very special because there's some very, very interesting work there. But of course, like because the pop world is so big, so it kind of swallows everything else. But people are really, they want to listen to different things, and they're there and they're present and active. So yeah, it's very fun.
Do you miss it?
All the time, yeah. Yeah.
Fair enough. And how was the Beirut gig?
Beirut, I played at Metro Medina. Metro Medina is one of like the main kind of like iconic places that have existed for a long time, but they just recently moved to a new theater. And it's a really wonderful place. Like it's a really big theater, and it was a seated event with like cabaret style tables, and it was very different than the Cairo show and other shows that I've been playing recently. But it was like much more focused, and I think people were like listening more to the lyrics and all the nuances and the details in the music.
Well, I was going to ask, is it very different when you play a show in say Cairo to when you play Italy or something?
Yes, of course, it's different. I mean, more people understand the lyrics. That's one thing. And I think also in general, like the Cairo audience is just louder and more active. Like like you feel that there's more like of a back and forth, between you and the performer and the audience. But I also see more and more like Arabic diaspora, they come to the shows. And I think also in general, people are just really, really interested and curious about music that is happening in my region. So it feels like, I mean, every show I play, there's someone that I meet, something that, and also people ask for the lyrics, and like we've got them translated. So there's a growing audience for sure. Yeah.
You said you moved to Montreal 4 years ago, is that right?
Yeah, around that time, yeah.
Did it affect the way you made music? Did it sort of change your sound? Or?
Yeah, you can say that. I mean, I also recorded my first album here in Montreal. I feel very connected to the musicians here and to the music scene here. I've been, working with, for example, Sarah Pagé. She's a harp player and electronics player since I started, you know, making the first album. I think the main difference, though, like writing this album, the second album here, as opposed to writing it in Cairo, is that while being here, there was like an immediacy and an urgency to say, like, I miss the people that I grew up with. I miss the places that I used to go to. So the songs were coming from a very different place than when I'm, let's say, inside Cairo and I'm more like in a place that's exploring the sounds or trying, you know, to like, there's something else that is being communicated basically. So that's, I think, the main difference.
I was going to say, sorry, I'm probably going to pronounce this very badly, but the new album, Laini Tani.
Yeah, that was not bad.
It's released on June the 6th, and there is in fact a song on it, Entifi Neema, which I think you said you wanted to create a track that reflected the density, noise, and enormity of Cairo and the sweet melodies that form in the middle of all that noise. Tell us about that. Was that you coming back to Cairo and kind of like, you know, realizing what an incredible city it was, or was that, you know, when you were in Montreal and sort of missing it? Or
I think, I mean, maybe like the first, like the easiest way to put it is that it's really quiet here in Montreal. It's like really, really quiet. I mean, Egypt is enormous, and at least I think 30 million people like are in Cairo. 100 million, I think, is the population now, like in Egypt. So I know that, you know, when you're born there and you live there, you grow up with like the capacity to take in a lot of sound. And I think this track specifically kind of shows that it just, because it's so layered and there's all these different synth layers that are very dense, it just gives that feeling, and like the space that can take in, like I can take in all these different layers and all this different noise. While here, like it's really, really quiet, and you have the capacity to hear everything, you know, like by itself. So that's very, very different.
And I think you finished that particular song in Indonesia, right?
Yeah.
What were you doing in Indonesia?
I think actually, no, I started it in Indonesia. Right. I was there for, I had gone to play a festival in Indonesia, and I fell in love with this country. I was in Yogyakarta, it's a small city, and I just knew I wanted to go back. I was there for 4 months. I was listening to music and getting to know, you know, understanding the different scales and the way they have, like with gamelan. So it's rhythmic, but it's also melodic. And I saw a lot of similarities also with Egypt, and also it's very dense, and like I could relate to a lot of things in the city. I just really didn't want to leave. I fell in love with it.
I was going to ask this from sort of a position of ignorance, really. Like, so Indonesian music and Egyptian music have quite a lot in common. There is definitely more similarity than, let's say, Western music. The scales are, I mean, the music system is different, but at the same time, the way the scales are set up, there are a lot of tuning systems that resemble also a lot of things that we have in Egypt. So I would say, oh my God, this sounds like maqam, like this scale or that scale, and then I would just like try and understand what is the name of that in Bahasa Indonesia, and I would just like try and figure out what happened. Because you're very much a trained musician. You come from like a classical background.
No, not really. I didn't study music. I used to take piano classes when I was very little, but like I think that lasted like 2 or 3 years. But you know, the way I learned was just to listen to singers that I like, and I would just imitate them until I started learning to produce, like Ableton, and like how to start, you know, producing on softwares, and then just like one thing led to another.
And you started off in a Misfits cover band called, I'm probably not going to pronounce this very well, but Sick Goodrish?
Yes. Well, it's more like a sound than an actual name that has a specific meaning. But yeah, I used to play in different bands, but like one of the most ones that I was very consistent with for 2 years was to cover Misfits. I was maybe 16 or 17 at the time, and it was just so fun to play together, like with my friends. And there used to be a huge metal scene in Egypt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is there not now, or
Not anymore? Like not the same scope.
I mean, do you think that
That's also
kind of,
another similarity with Indonesia, because Indonesia has also like a big metal scene.
oh yeah, I've listened to a few Indonesian metal bands. There's one that's really big, a duo, and I can't remember their name, but I think so. Yeah, yeah. Do you still love kind of hard rock music?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. I think also there's a relation when you live in a place that's very dense, that's very loud. I think maybe that was also another thing in common with Indonesia, that you there's this desire that you make music that's kind of also louder than the noise that already exists in your city, so that you can kind of like be above it somehow, or take it in, or like have the ability to take it in.
And do you think, how does that relate to what you do now? I mean, there are definitely some, you do have songs which kind of have harder edges as well. I mean, is that the same kind of influences coming through?
Yeah, I mean, maybe, possibly. I think, there's a lot of music that I was listening to growing up, and like it can be, from something that's very like harsh noise, and like all the way to very subtle, very just melodic, things. And I feel they just all, like, now I'm in a place where I'm writing my own music, and I feel these influences have all kind of managed to come through in one way or another in the songs.
It's a horrendous question to ask because artists don't generally like to label their music. But if you were working in a record shop, right? And your album came through, where would you put it?
Yeah, that's one of the hardest questions. Uh, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you've listened to the album. I think there are tracks that fall, under. There are more pop leaning tracks, and then like other tracks that are much louder and more like harsher. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure. I'm hoping that you would be the one that would tell me. Where are the critics?
I mean, well, I don't know. I guess if I had to, I'd probably put it somewhere like, I don't know, experimental electronics. But I mean, that's such a wide frame that it covers so many different things, I suppose. That's why it's a difficult question to ask. But
Maybe like by the fourth album or the fifth album that I would do, maybe, something would become more like forces itself, and would kind of become more coherent, or just like shows itself more, exposes its parameters more as a specific direction, and then we would maybe understand. Maybe that means it's a bit too early or something to decide on a name.
well, also, I suppose by the fourth album, you can just put it in your own section and you'll be fine.
Sorry?
By the fourth album, you can just put it in your own section, and there's 4 albums there. So yeah, I mentioned the second album is released on June the 6th, which is just after you play Barcelona, Primavera. How do you think it compares to your debut album?
Playing the second album. You mean the performance? Sorry.
No, like the sound. I mean, how do you think it moves things on?
I think the first album, I was in a place I'm in Egypt, and I'm exploring the sounds that I have. Like, I was really listening to a lot of classical Arabic music from 1890s, and just being fascinated of how futuristic it sounds, and just really exploring and playing around with sound, like I'm painting. But when I wrote the second album, I was let's say, like, I was outside of Egypt, and there was this immediacy or urgency to communicate things that, like, I miss my friends, I miss my people, I miss and places that I used to go to and all of that. So there was more like an immediacy and more an ease and an urgency to communicate things that are very clear. So that's a very, very different place to be in when in comparison with the first album.
And your collaborators on the album include Sarah Paget, who you mentioned, and also do you know what? I've just realised I don't actually know how to pronounce 3Faz's name. How should I pronounce it?
Ismail, like his first name.
Well, no, just the artist name. I mean, 3Faz doesn't sound right. Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, in Arabic we say ثلاثة فاز.
Okay.
Yeah, 3Faz.
Sorry, I feel so relentlessly English speaking. It's not good. But what's your working relationship like with him for a start?
Yeah, Ismail, we grew up in the same scene. We were both like present through a lot of different moments in this underground scene in Cairo. So it was like, it was very easy. Like we worked together on different things before, and I love his beats, and I think he's one of the most like interesting artists today that are making very Egyptian beats that he's just like making his own, and the way he plays with them I really, really love. And he has also an amazing sense for melodies, so it was really very easy. Like I would take a beat from him, and then I would take it and I would arrange it and start writing the song, record vocals, record other instruments, and bounce it back to him. So it was really like just very playful and very quick.
You said he makes very Egyptian beats. What makes a beat Egyptian for you, or is it just the fact that he's making?
No, I mean different countries in the Arab world lean towards different rhythms. Not even the countries, but also inside the country. Like it depends if you are in the south or in Alexandria or in Cairo. Like you would find different accents in the beats, so it's just a reference to that, I guess. Like, but so the beats that he's making, it's very Cairo. Like it's very yeah, it just like sounds like the beats that we would dance to, like in anywhere in Cairo.
Because I read somewhere that Egyptian music, and obviously this is a massive cliche, we're talking about 100 million plus people, but it typically mixes heavy lyrics with a dance beat, right?
Yeah, there's something there for sure. Yeah, it's like it's like it's like these very battling emotions between you're dancing, you're in ecstasy, but also you're crying at the same time. Yeah, that's very Egyptian.
It's very strong.
Yeah.
And what do you love about the harp?
Oh my God. Okay. I mean, ever since I met Sarah Paget at the studio in 2016 and we recorded together, she was recording with me on my album. We immediately had a connection, and we never stopped playing since then. So now it's 2025, so 9 years that we've been playing together, and touring and recording and touring. I think she's been part of every project that I've made. The harp obviously is this instrument that has like a huge scope, like it goes from very low to very high notes. But also the way Sarah plays the harp is just amazing. Like, first of all, she also, studied in Japan. She studied koto, so she's very familiar with different tuning systems. So for her, for instance, playing with me in Arabic scales was something that just was very easy for her, and also the way she extends the harp through the electronics that she builds and through other effects that she uses is just really wonderful. Like she can be very like she can bring from the harp so many different colors that I just find really fascinating. So it's not only about the harp, it's also about the way she plays the harp.
Sorry, another stupid question. Laini Tani, what's the name from? Because I put it into Google Translate and nothing came out.
I'm lying to everyone. It's not Arabic even when I'm speaking. No, Laini Tani means find me again.
Right.
There's, for me, like there's this you know, it's like you're reinstating or reconfirming your position and your emotions and your lyrics and everything, and like putting myself there again and like asking, you know, someone to kind of find me again in this new constellation.
That's rather a beautiful title for a second album, you know.
Yeah, I was also very happy with it because it has the name Tani, which means second in it.
Right. Okay. I don't know why nothing came out of Google Translate, but there we go.
I think it's the magic of using colloquial to classic Arabic.
Okay. What is Mawal music, which I think you reference on the title track?
Mobile?
Mawal, M-A-W-A-L.
Oh yeah. Mawal is a form of a song. Let's say, like it's a form that basically means that the singer is singing very freely, more like improvised phrases, accompanied by another musician, at least another musician, and they can be more. So it's like a dialogue, let's say, between a singer and a musician. And this form like exists since a long time ago in Egypt, and it's still used until today. So it's not like, you know, it's frozen somewhere in the museum. There is sometimes this fascination that, you know, or like misunderstanding from a lot of people who don't know about Arabic music, that, you know, like we're doing something that's, you know, from the past, or like so it's like, Nada, you're mixing old forms with new forms. It's like, no, that's something that's very present until today. So yeah, so I'm just using this form in one of the songs, which is actually Laini Tani. It starts with a mawel. That's just basically it. And you can hear almost every singer in the Arab world has done some kind of mawel.
Do you get sort of older people coming to your concerts? I mean, like, you know, a lot older, sort of 60, 70-year-olds.
Sometimes, yes. Yeah.
What do you get, like elderly Egyptians, and do they like it, or?
You mean like specifically older Egyptians? Or
Yes. Yeah.
No, not really, actually. No, it's more like in Egypt, it's a very young I mean, people are very young there in general. I think I get mixed reactions from older people. Like there are people that think like, you know, like I'm playing too much, or like I'm not being careful with with like what we have and stuff like this. But then also there's a lot of curiosity about just imagining where this music can go, and like what else you can do with it, because obviously also there's a specific comfort, you know, in how Arabic music behaves and what it should do and like what it should make you feel like. But then there's also this curiosity. It's like, wow, we never heard a mawel with a harp. You know, so there's something fun about this process that people also like take in as well, old and young. Like I don't necessarily differentiate between that.
Yeah. Also on the new album, the song Karbi Ali.
Yeah.
You've called it a hedonistic anthem, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, this song, for example, like I think this is the most pop leaning on the album. This one is really like about moving very fast, like having this very fast life, fast-paced touring musician life, and at the same time, just like really at this, like while everything is going so fast, you can also have this very slow motion moment of just realizing like how much you have your friends, your loved ones waiting for you, or you're waiting, or like you're calling them, like you really want them to also witness you, to ground you in some one way or another. And you know what, I was actually thinking about my sister, my youngest sister, when I was writing this, because I was thinking like, you know, I want her to have this song to be able to listen to it, you know, with her friends in the car, you know, just like moving around.
Has she listened to it in the car?
Yeah, she loves it. I'm very happy. It's like success moment.
So as I mean, I know one of the reasons I was thinking of electronic because as I mentioned, you're playing Primavera Sound and you're playing with Seafeel, who are an electronic band. Are you a fan of theirs?
Sorry, can you repeat again?
When you're playing in Primavera, you're playing with just before a band called Seafeel, who are kind of an electronic guitar band. Are you a fan of theirs? Have you heard them?
I'm not sure.
Okay, they're very good. They're very good.
You know, I'm really excited because this round it has a lot of festivals and there are so many, you know, musicians and acts that I'm getting to know and starting to listen to their music. So it's an exciting moment, and I'm glad that you made me think about them. I'm gonna check them out. But why are you specifically mentioning this?
It's a very interesting combination because it's it makes a lot of sense when you listen to it, I think, but like it's not obvious two things you put together. But I think if you actually listen to them, the kind of spirit is quite similar, you know. So I think you'll like them. Have you played in Spain much?
Yeah, I played in Barcelona actually recently at Mirafest last year.
Ah, how was that?
It was wonderful. It was yeah, I really enjoyed the show, and I also played in Madrid and in no, it was just Madrid and Barcelona before, but that was with the first album. I was still like in the very beginning. I was just starting to tour, and everything was very new. I'm like, wow, what is this?
I normally go to Mira, but the last one I didn't go to. I'm so. Well, it's been lovely speaking to you. One more thing. What do you think is the absolute best environment in which to watch you play live? If you could think of like the sort of dream setup.
I mean, I think it's, you know, I played actually at just played now at the Donau Festival. It was an old church, but it had an incredible sound system with a lot of bass, and because you know, like the music has the heaviness and the intensity of 3/5 like heaviness beats, but also there's like all this color that's coming from the voice and from the harp and from the synths. So I think the perfect setup would be something like this, like between like an old structure, but still has like this also like very theater, very black box feeling still, with an incredible sound system. Yeah.
Actually, I was gonna. Is that kind of a reflection of your own listening tastes, kind of halfway in between sort of heaviness and melodies?
Yeah.
Well, look, thank you so much for taking the time. I'm really looking forward to seeing you in Barcelona Monday, I believe it is. Monday, June the 2nd?
Yes.
I'm going to say, I may have got that wrong. I've actually got it written down.
2nd or 3rd.
Yeah, I think it's June the 2nd with Seafeel.
Yes.
It's going to be fantastic. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Pleasure, my pleasure.
All right, nice to speak to you then. Have a good day.
Bye.